Okay, so let's talk about the race as a whole for 2024, Sean, because there's this gigantic thing looming over it, and that's Donald Trump's legal problems. Look, we can talk all day long about he's up 40 points in the polls and it's all Trump and stuff like that. Yeah, well, when he's in prison or taken off the ballot in a place like Michigan or Pennsylvania, that doesn't quite help us for 2024. What I just said is not ridiculous. Those are realistic things. How do you see this going? He's in serious legal trouble because of these commie piece of trash DAs who are obviously unjustly persecuting him, but that doesn't change the fact he's in bad trouble.
I agree. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, look, here's the problem with the Washington, D.C. Issue and indictment there. That the D.C. votes 92-8, 96-4, whatever it is, Democrat. They don't like Republicans, never mind Donald Trump. And so I think that it doesn't matter what the charge is. I do think he faces a very good chance of being convicted there if that happens before the election. Same thing in the Fulton County, Georgia race. The problem with Fulton County is, one, they have mandatory minimum sentences. So if you get convicted, you're screwed. And number two is the only way you get pardoned is a 5-person state board. This is not a governor or president that can pardon or commute your sentence. I think that your analysis is right. The question is going to be the timing, meaning does his team make an effective case to push the case off beyond the election? If it happens before, I think we're gonna have real problems. And so to answer your question, I think timing is everything. When do these cases start? I know when they want them to start, but I think you're going to see a lot of motions being made about the reality of when they can start and then how long it takes. I mean, the one in Georgia, from legal experts I've told, it's just going to be tough. You've got, 18 other co-defendants. Coordinating a lot of that legal stuff just takes time. And so the answer to your question is this: how long will the first one take to begin? And if it's DC or Georgia, that spells trouble. I think the point that you touched on, and I think you hit this, and I want to make sure your viewers understand this. The idea of a state, you mentioned Michigan. It doesn't really matter to me as long as it's one of the 8 states that matter: Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, New Hampshire, Nevada. If one of those states takes him off the ballot, it's a very real concern about the possibility that you're bringing up. How do you get elected? We're here in Wisconsin. The first race in 2016 was 11,000 votes that Trump won it by. In the books, Biden won it by less than 21,000 in 2020. It's going to be close. It's 10 electoral votes. So you take a state, Michigan, Wisconsin, take those electoral votes off the table because the Dems get them off the ballot. That's that makes the mountain even stiffer. And frankly, I think you take one of these key states off, I don't know how you overcome it. And that's where what you said, I would mark the tape right now today, because what you're touching on is a very real possibility.
Golly. Sean, I know you know this stuff like the back of your hand. I can't even tell you how much I wanted you to argue with me and tell me I was wrong, but I've just been laying this out in my head, and I just see this horrible scenario.
Here's where I'll argue with you. I think what you're saying, not enough people are taking seriously enough. And the problem is that you make these things and people say, oh, Jesse, Sean, you're nuts. That's never going to happen. Mark my word. They're going to find a way to convict him and say, therefore, we can't have him on the ballot. And what happens? Once that happens, how do you unring the bell? How do you redo an election? They did this in 2020. I'm here in Wisconsin, Jesse. Here's the thing. The state of Wisconsin went out and put drop boxes in place. They let people claim to be disabled to vote absentee, which was completely in violation of Wisconsin's law. Then what happens? The state legislative audit bureau comes out after the election and say, you're right, they had no authority to do that. But hey, sorry, the election's been held. So this is stuff that they will do. And then what happens is Biden will be elected, or Kamala will actually probably be elected. And they'll say, well, what do you want us to do about it? They know how to do this. I just think our side has got to stop putting blinders on and saying, oh, that's crazy talk. That'll never happen.
Golly. Sean, thank you for your wisdom. You know what? Tell us about the Sean Spicer Show before we let you go. Obviously, everyone's going to be tuning in. Tell us about it.
Well, obviously, you mentioned it. We're here we're on the first, 6 o'clock. I'm excited but anywhere else that you get your podcast, if you can't access the first, go to iTunes, subscribe. It's super helpful for us to do that. But right now, we're trying to bring people the insight, the guests, and the discussion that's missing. Like you and I just had, what does it take to win Wisconsin's 10 electoral votes? What do we need to be doing on the ground? What are the hurdles that stand before us? Why are candidates doing one thing versus the next? I mean, we're breaking down super PACs, the coordination they can have. This election is too important. I think people need to understand the rules of the game, how to use them to win effectively, and what the left is doing, and so that we understand what we're up against in a way that we never had. And to your point, I've been doing this 30 years. I know the game, I know the rules, I know how to win, and what I want to do is share that with everybody.
Yeah. Tune in for some friggin' wisdom. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate you, sir. Come back soon.
Thanks for having me, Jesse. Appreciate it.
There is a huge election coming up, and man, is it going to be wild. I'm going to give you a front row seat inside the race for the nomination like no one else can. Welcome to the Sean Spicer Show.
The Sean Spicer Show, weeknights at 6 p.m. Eastern on the First TV.